You are the one.
Boom.
Look at that resting heart rate.
There we go.
Huh?
This is a great way. Welcome to Bogey Bro Banter. This is a great
you.
way to start the banter. What's your resting heart rate,
I don't know.
Konner? Because like yours is pretty. What is yours like?
48.
That's insane. I have a naturally high heart
I
rate.
have absolutely no idea.
Like I used to when I was wearing my watch all the time. Like I would keep track of it even more.
Can I like count how many heartbeats I have in a minute?
In you can do it in 30 seconds.
But like let me find the last.
You should be at rest right now, so it should be pretty accurate.
I gotta find the
So
last
30
data
seconds?
that I can find.
Well, just like hold your pulse, and then start for 30. Like let it go 30 seconds, and count during that time, and then just multiply it by 2.
So, I sit resting.
Oh, if you hear construction noise,
There's
what it is.
construction.
There's construction. What are we supposed to do? Huh? Make them stop?
I've got some heart rates in
They're
here.
building.
I sit resting at like 60.
I wanna find my
like in
heart
the
rate
60s.
first.
And when I get like exercising, I get up at like 150.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel
that's
it.
normal. My exercise rate, like when I'm running, my running rate's like. Let me look at my run.
I feel like mine's actually worse than that. Let me go to the Nike Run Club because I know that has heart rate data on some of my older runs. I feel like it was actually way higher than that because I looked it up once and it was like oof, like not great. Maybe I have high blood pressure.
My average heart rate was 169 during my run.
Then mine must have been higher. That must not have been from a run. Let me see if I can find a run from. I can't remember the last time I tracked heart rate data was like when I first started running.
Also, I was tracking my run on Strava, whatever, and I used my watch. This run, it says I ran.
So I had 43 in 30 seconds.
So 86. So you're not at rest right now.
That is restless.
We're just gonna call you're not at rest because if you're at rest,
that
it's
would
pretty
be
bad.
way too high.
No.
You're not at rest right now. You're anxious.
Am I?
You have a camera at you. It makes sense. Camera and lights.
Okay.
You're just not comfortable
You're
around
not
the
comfortable.
camera, man.
I bet let's look at my heart rate.
When did
right
I
now.
start using the watch for runs?
Mine's got to be high right now.
Where's my average heart rate at?
Yeah, my current rate's 71.
Okay.
My resting heart rate.
So it's just
doesn't
like
have
because
one
we're
thing.
being semi-active because we're like.
Oh,
doing
well, my
something.
current heart rate's 66.
I know at some point.
But it's because we're like talking, looking in front of lights,
Yeah.
thinking.
I know at some
makes
point
sense.
I was keeping track of this. Why is it not in any of this? Like, when was I using my watch? Bruv.
No, what I was saying though, I was running with Strava, and I was tracking with my watch, and my watch finished 3.1 miles. Right? I'm like, okay, stopped it on my
I think I
watch.
used it for the turkey trot, like around that time.
I stopped it on my watch, walk in the house, syncs to my phone, pull out my phone. My phone says I only ran 2.8 miles. I know it's not true because I know where I ran, but
Okay,
it
here we
kept
go.
the same time for my watch. So it took what was like a 10, 15 minute pace, 10, 20, somewhere in there, which was slow, but it was okay. My legs were tired. To now it says I ran like 10:54. 10:54 for 2.8 miles. And I was like, you liar.
Dang, dude, you got fricked.
Called it a liar.
Yeah, because I ran 3.1 miles in 31 minutes and 8 seconds. So like right at 10 minutes.
Okay. So
And it says I ran 10:54.
so my max is getting up around
liar.
190.
That's pretty high.
Pretty high. So I may just like fall over dead. Somebody tell me in the comments if I'm actually gonna die. I've always had like a little bit of a higher heart rate, but I've never been told I have bad blood pressure. Like when I go to the doctor,
You're gonna die, but it's not gonna be because of your blood pressure.
Maybe I just like I don't know. I don't think I've had a heart attack.
What are your number one?
So if
I was
the
about to
easiest
bring
way
up
to
a really
calculate
dark
your max
topic.
heart rate
No.
is go 220 minus your age. So for me, my maximum would be 195.
Oh,
Yeah, max heart
220
rate.
minus my age of 23, so 197.
That'd be your max heart
Oh,
rate.
I'm totally good. I haven't hit my max.
For moderate intensity
I haven't even
runs,
maxed yet, bro.
So then the American Heart Association recommends you stay within 50 to 70% of that. So if you're 40, you aim to keep your heart rate between 90 and 126. So 70% of what's your max? 197 times 0.7. So 137 should be like
For what?
a good workout heart rate.
There's no way.
For a moderate intensity run.
Yeah, I don't
For
run.
speed work,
I don't
85%.
run moderate intensity.
So what's yours? 197 times 0.85. So 167.
Well, it's just not happening.
That's a like speed run.
I hate to break it to you, that's just not happening. And yours isn't like that either. So
I don't.
apparently-
Yeah, mine's
here aren't those the
195.
same people that do the BMI thing, which is like totally inaccurate? I don't believe them, dude.
Yeah.
195 times 0.85.
We're both
No,
getting.
mine's pretty accurate. Mine's right over it.
All right. Well, I guess I'm just dying.
Because mine should be 165. Mine was 169.
I'm done. I'm gonna die. Am I gonna die?
No, you're not gonna die.
I need a heart doctor.
Yeah, my heart rate right now is 66. What is heart rate variability? Measure the variation in the time intervals between heartbeats. Isn't that the same as your heart rate?
I don't know. Like, wait, or no, it's saying that, like, so your heart rate is just how many beats happen in a minute. Your variability is how much is happening in between the beats, because that can change. You could have a couple that are faster and then one that's slower, and it could still equal out at the same heart rate.
Huh.
That's scary. I don't want to know that. That's like if I drink a Monster Energy, mine's probably like my variability is probably all over the place.
My heart rate variability right now is 64 milliseconds.
How is the thing is too, like, you have a history of drinking like caffeine.
I used to drink a lot of caffeine. I don't anymore though. I just drink 1 cup of coffee a day.
That's what I'm saying though, but you've like consistently had caffeine like every day for a long time. It's like you would think yours would be higher.
My body's adjusted.
He's adjusted, man.
My heart rate when I was in high school playing basketball a lot, I remember I would go to get my physical or whatever. And it was always between like 47 to 40 to like 50 was my resting heart rate.
This guy's just a cold-blooded
But
killer,
then
dude.
when I started playing disc golf in college, once I stopped doing like super active stuff, and I was just playing disc golf, wasn't doing like really any cardio other than just disc golf.
Yeah,
my resting heart rate got up to like 54. But then once I started running, it slowly went back down.
Nothing like that.
Is it now I'm back to 48?
You guys see? So I topic switch a little bit. So we launched. It was called DART. It was a spacecraft. Did you guys hear about this?
No, I didn't hear about it.
You may have just seen it.
I think I saw something about it on Twitter, but I don't know anything about it.
What this was, it was our first test at Earth defense. Okay. And we launched this spacecraft at an asteroid. Now, it wasn't coming towards us or a meteor or whatever it was, to see if we could defend against, like a meteor or an asteroid hitting us.
Gotcha.
And there's literally, we hit it. You can literally see the drone footage. It's like when you see pictures and stuff from space, it just doesn't look real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like it's so hard to believe. Just that we've come that far, I guess. But like you can see this camera getting closer and closer and closer to this thing, and then it just goes like fuzzy.
That's pretty crazy.
That sounds
awesome.
awesome.
So we hit it. We made contact, but I think they have to like get the data to see if like we actually redirected its orbit or its course. But like, isn't that crazy to think that like we just now are working on that? Like I kind of always assumed we had a plan.
We've been making movies about that for a long time.
Have you ever seen? It came out like last year. It was
Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that.
I didn't watch it. I heard it was awful.
Really?
Yeah, I heard it was
I didn't mind it.
No, I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
It's like it's a satire movie, so you have to go into it thinking that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was but what was reminded me of it because like basically the dude at the end came up with this whole plan because he wanted whatever minerals on the asteroid. So he didn't want to. Like,
at first they were going to blow it up.
They had a way to blow it up.
Yeah.
So they had a way to save Earth. But this guy's like, no. What if we go in and we blow it up in a strategic way so that we can basically make a bunch of money off of it? Mm-hmm. And so they did it, and it failed, obviously. And so then him and like the president and like one other person get on this thing and go to Mars while the Earth just blows up.
Oh my gosh!
Here's the question: how far do you guys think in our lifetime we will make it with space exploration? I think we're planning on going back to the moon pretty soon. Like, so I think I'm almost willing to guarantee.
That's the only thing. What you just said there is the only reason that I give the fake moon landing people any grain of like maybe. Because why haven't we gone back?
Because there's no reason to.
Well, there is.
Why?
Why are we going back?
We're going back this time because we want to use it as a launch point to get to Mars from the moon.
I'm saying like we didn't study it fully. Like we went to the moon once, showed we could do it, put our flag there, and came back.
You don't think
and
that
you don't think
that seeing
we might just also not have access to the information of what they did gather there.
For the record, I do think we went to the moon. But I'm saying that's the only point that people make. And I'm like, you know what? That's a solid point.
Here's where
it's been what 50 years, 40 years.
For the record, I do think that we went
to
the moon, but also I think there are a lot of unanswered questions about a lot of things.
Oh, but when people say like government conspiracy theories, a lot of it I'm like, well, yeah. Do you really think they're going to tell us that?
Mm-hmm.
Of course not.
Yeah, I saw this comedian routine the other day. He was like, the guy's like, so you guys, he's like, is there any conspiracy theorists in the crowd? And then people are like murmuring. He's like, he's like, I some people like they just don't believe in. They say they don't believe in any conspiracy theories. It's like related to the government, and he's like, I understand. He's like, I'm not a crazy conspiracy theorist. Like, I'm not like I don't want to hear all of them. Like, he's like, but he's like, you really don't believe any. He's like, you don't think the government has like he goes, I have a son. He's like, that son is 5 years old. I lie to him all the time. And you don't think the government has lied to us one time? But
That's funny.
No, I think with the moon, you could say that it costs a lot to do anything with space, right? Like you hear the budget numbers, it's insane. We've been focusing all of our budget on the International Space Station, studying things with telescopes, satellites, that sort of thing. So in my mind, we went to the moon, we collected pieces of it, like we saw it, and it probably was not very exciting. We probably were just using our budget elsewhere, but now we have a reason because they want to use it. I believe what I heard was that they think there's something they can. They want to use it as a launch point to get to Mars because it's a better place to launch from. And then I also heard there was like something they could collect from the surface to like help make fuel or use it as some kind of refueling point. But in any case, I think we'll go back to the moon during our lifetime for sure. Probably the next decade even, because I think that's getting pretty close. I don't think we'll see any humans get to Mars in our lifetime.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Do you think so, Konner?
I don't know.
I think someone will try it in our lifetime, but
you
also,
think?
how doesn't it take like an eternity to get out there? Like, could we still be alive when someone gets there?
True.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
True.
mean, we would have to probably make developments with space
You
travel.
got to put an infant child on a rocket and just
like,
hope that they
didn't
learn
they
how to
like
speak by the time they
didn't
get
they
to Mars.
send a monkey to Mars?
Well, we've sent rovers to Mars, and they don't take infinite amounts of time to get to Mars. So
We have rovers on Mars.
We have one
With
right
the
now.
Mars rover.
Oh,
No,
that's
there's a
right.
new one that
I
just-
know.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
saying
I'm
like
dumb. I
that
knew
one we
that.
knew about.
Yeah,
Or was that a movie? That
What
a
does
monkey
Mars
went to
look like?
it's like it's a lot of gas, isn't it? Well, no, it's not a gaseous planet. That's Saturn. Because we
Space is very interesting.
it would take about 7 months. 7 months is the timeline, I guess. For
Yeah. Okay. Russia was going to send monkeys to Mars in 2016.
So it does take a long time to get
The
to
word
Mars,
from
but
Russia is
not-
that the country wants to send monkeys to the red planet by 2017, but waving the red flag on such a plan is PETA.
Shocker. I didn't realize Russia listened to PETA.
Yeah,
They
seriously,
probably
what the
didn't.
heck?
They probably didn't. They
already
probably sent them.
They probably already sent them. Yeah.
Why would? Yeah.
I think Mars is crazy.
Yeah, we draw the line. PETA is our ultimate authority.
The husky mixed dog was sent into space in 1957, but
Yeah.
died with overheating within panic hours after takeoff.
That's
Which
sad.
makes sense.
That's sad.
That makes sense.
I wonder if
Other animals sent into space have died of suffocation, frozen to death, or burned up on impact.
I wonder if we will in our lifetimes. Like,
Peter
I feel
really
like,
knows what he's talking about.
I feel like we could see a structure on the moon in our lifetime.
Yeah, I think so.
I
That
want
makes sense.
Moon World. I want to
You
be
know,
able to
I
go
was
visit
thinking-
Moon World.
I was thinking literally on the way to work today, like I was like looking up at just like billboards and the cars in front of me, and I was like, how am I supposed to believe that we got here when people were on Earth with no technology?
I know. Like, who made Wi-Fi, bro?
Like, how do you even get to electricity? Like, how do you even make that step?
Smart people, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
It's harder to believe because like I'm the type of person that I drive around and like I just like start looking at things at like structures and everything, and I'm like, how do you make that? Like, how does somebody make that? And then what changed it for me is I worked at a place that that was basically a tool and die manufacturer, and they were making like little metal pieces and things like that. The kind of stuff that you look at and you're like, who the heck is making that? Mm-hmm. And they had engineers in-house. So what they did is they got consultations to like, here's a problem, solve it. And then they would design these things, these such specific pieces, and then punch them out with the hydraulic presses and make them. And so like that kind of helped me learn like how the process works, where like it's not like people just imagine the piece. It's like, here's the problem.
Yeah, but like,
and then how do we fix
we have
it?
a bunch of rocks, and you need to make a microchip that lets you call your friends.
Well, that is that is the crazy thing.
Like, think of those steps. Like,
It's that scenario.
you're on
That is
Earth.
a very. Whenever you think about
We
it like
just
that,
learned how to make fire. Right? And now we have to fast forward to, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, look at this sign behind me, dude. Crazy, huh?
Well, it's
what?
It's all starts with raw material. But yeah, I mean, it's progression, I guess. It is that question of like, if you put Elon Musk on the earth, you know, however many years ago when we had no technology, like how long does it take him to make an iPhone?
He couldn't.
If you had any resources of that time,
I don't think
available
anyone
to
that's
him.
alive during our generation could go back and get us to where we are. Because we all started with a head start.
Not like not get everybody to where they are, but like create one like piece of technology.
Yeah, if he goes back and he has no technology, like the car hasn't started, nothing.
But he has
can't make a
everything
phone.
available to him. Like everybody will get him what he needs. Like he literally just has to know the steps.
But like you have to think through the
Well, then he
progression.
might have to invent.
right?
What is the progression?
He might have to discover
think like
electricity.
that's what I'm saying. Think of the industrial age. Like you have to discover electricity. So like
you don't have
have
to discover. You know how it works. So you
like, trust
just
me,
have to
guys.
make it.
There's this
But now
electric
how
stuff
do
up
you-
there.
But now, how do you make? You have to now make like a. Let's say he wants to use water. You have to make like a water, whatever the frickin' the plant is, the hydraulic
I just want to
energy
see.
plant.
I want to put.
You know what I'm saying?
This needs to be a
Like,
reality TV
he
show,
has to build
dude.
a dam that and then
Dude.
generate energy from the wheels spinning.
This is a reality TV show. You take geniuses, electric engineers, that kind of thing, and you stick them in a nature preserve. Furthest advancement of technology wins. I'm telling you right now,
I'd watch the
That's
crap
a
out of
I'd watch the
great
crap out of
idea.
that.
That's a
Intellectual
really good idea.
property claimed right now, and it's hosted by Ryan Seacrest and with a co-host of Elon Musk. Man,
I'd watch
There
it.
was
I'd
a
watch
show
the heck
kind
out
of
of
like
that.
that called The Great Escapists. And it was more like dramatized, but like they did actual survival stuff and actual building, but like they would make jokes and like you'd pan and it would be like done. But like they'd make jokes about it. And it was Richard Hammond from Top Gear and Tori Valachi from
Mythbusters.
And it was hilarious. It was like the cheesiest thing I've ever seen because they're both terrible actors, but it was very funny. But they did that. They were basically on an island and they were building simple machines out of like
I
palm
love
trees
that.
and stuff.
I
It
saw
was
a
really
clip.
cool.
I saw a TikTok clip. I've never watched Top Gear, but I see TikTok clips of
So
it's
funny.
Jeremy Clarkson, one of the main guys.
Yes, yeah.
So they were like in some snowy place, and one of the guys covered his entire car in ice, like to prank him. Like just it would look like frozen in an ice cube practically. And they're driving away, and they're like, I wonder how long it's gonna take him to go. All right, then we'll just light the thing on fire. And the other guy's like, probably like under a minute. And it cuts back to him, and he's got a hairspray and a lighter, and, he's going, and he dumps lighter fluid on it, like gasoline, and he lights the whole car on fire. And he goes, "Oh, think I might have overdone it," and he starts running away. Like the
That
clips I
show-
see, the funniest clip
Top Gear was incredible.
is when
incredible.
he makes a parking brake with a log that he basically is dragging behind him. So when the car rolls back, it stops on the log, and he's driving along this bumpy dirt road. He's like, sometimes my genius like surprises even me. And they hit a bump, and the log goes up and through his rear windshield, and oh man,
That's
like,
really funny. There's so
That
many
show
parts
is
of that show
incredible.
that are like obviously like planned out and planted. Like they do it unapologetically. Like you know that. But like things like that, like he made that because his car would roll backwards whenever he would go to a stop, and they were on a hill. And so
Yeah.
he would just keep on rolling backwards, and his clutch wasn't good, so he had a really hard time taking off on the hill. So he had the log to where it would stop him, so he wouldn't roll backwards, and he was driving down the road, and it literally hit a rock and just showed him right through the window. It is so funny.
Oh
They,
my gosh.
Top Gear was so great. It's not anymore.
No.
Frick the BBC. Let me be clear. Okay?
Wasn't it
Dang, dude,
originally on
Konner.
the BBC?
What? Yeah, it was originally on BBC, the British Broadcasting, whatever it stands for, and they had Top Gear on there. And then the Jeremy Clarkson and some producer or something got some kind of tiffy, and so the BBC took Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James.
Well, it's
May
not really.
off of
It's not
BBC.
Top Gear then.
No. Well, it's basically
Yeah, it's not Top
It's
Gear
not
anymore.
Top Gear.
It's not Top Gear anymore.
Essentially, was a YouTube channel. If you really think about it,
Yeah,
like what they were
I
doing
don't-
and stuff.
it sounds like it. I mean, it's like
Think about it. Like they would show up and like
They'd have, like, a
different
challenge with a
challenges,
car.
and,
Yeah,
like,
no, they were
You gotta get across.
because now you can find a lot of those car challenges all over YouTube, but they were like they had
Well, like that
like,
wasn't.
like 15 seasons of them doing it. They've been doing it
Yeah.
since like the 90s.
But I'm
there was
saying,
a
like,
lot of
that
good
wasn't,
shows back
like,
then,
back
like
then.
that. Like MythBusters was that way too. Or it felt like
Yeah.
a YouTube channel.
But it
Yeah.
just didn't like. I think our generation, that's the type of stuff we liked, which makes sense why YouTube is
Yeah,
like that now
yeah.
because like the generation before us I don't think they would have liked it.
Yeah.
They probably I'd imagine my dad never really liked Mythbusters. He didn't understand it.
I love Mythbusters.
I loved Mythbusters.
Mythbusters is
But
like a
that
top 10
that
show.
wasn't TV.
And
mainstream TV.
I
that
skipped
wasn't
through
it.
Top Gear to get to like the special episodes.
Yeah, like
I
the
watched them.
challenges.
I've seen every single episode.
also
but the
loved-
special episodes are my favorite.
I mean, I loved that they had like guests on and they all had to race that crappy car
yeah,
and
yeah,
just get on
yeah.
the board.
I was watching.
I
I
think
saw,
That was
it
always
a
thrilling.
Renault something.
I saw a clip of them the other day trying to go up like the world's steepest banked track. Like it was like straight up
Oh
and
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Great.
But
time.
they started the Grand Tour, which is just it's the same as Top Gear, but Amazon basically bought them and told them to start. And they
God
basically
bless Amazon. Just
they
buying
basically
everybody.
were like, we don't. I heard in like an interview that they were like talking about like what their like restrictions were and stuff like that. And Amazon was like, you can do whatever you want. And so now it's just like
Amazon
it's three old
pretty
goofy
legit.
men that literally just have the show be whatever the heck they want it to be, and it's very funny.
Man, if I was like any company that is anywhere near Amazon's lane or any lanes they might go into, I'd be so scared. Like if I was Netflix, I'd be terrified of Amazon.
What is
Netflix is in a tough spot because of like
Amazon just partnered with someone?
Netflix has the name Netflix, and they
They
still
just
have
raised prices, didn't they?
They do still have a lot because their Netflix original shows are really good, but it's got to be brutal when you're competing against Apple, NBC, Paramount, and Amazon. Like,
Yeah.
just listen to that lineup that you've got to fight against. Like, that's disgusting. You're basically your only hope is to have really good
Well,
originals.
For the
like
most
Stranger.
part, Netflix is like Blockbuster, right? In a lot of ways,
How so?
because like Blockbuster
Because they're privately owned.
was first to market and what they were doing, but
Right.
then like they never progressed. Netflix was like,
Netflix
boom, we're
has
here.
progressed.
They've progressed, but the problem is you can pay basically the same amount and get Amazon Prime.
Well, here's what Netflix
And
has.
get Prime
What
Video.
Netflix has.
Yeah, with Prime Video, you still have to buy movies.
for now. Not all
There's-
movies.
they have free
a lot of
movies.
free
yeah,
movies.
but
They're starting to get free shows.
a lot of new movies. you
Thursday
have to pay
Night
for.
Football.
Well, new movies you're
I
not
almo-
getting on Netflix.
Yeah, you
I'm
don't
just
get
saying-
new movies on Netflix at all.
I'm just saying, almost every single time.
Who
that
watches new movies on Netflix anymore?
I think
I watch movies on Netflix.
Unless it's a
Yeah,
Netflix original,
no,
a lot of them suck cheeks.
that's not true.
I mean,
Netflix gets a lot
that's
of
not
good
true.
movies. I scroll through. The thing that Netflix has
Yeah.
right now is when you think let's watch something, a lot of people
School
go
of
straight
Rock's
to
on Netflix.
They go straight to Netflix. Like that's
Yeah.
But if they start losing that, what they do have though, in why they are so successful, they have things like Stranger Things that like become huge and they're
Yeah.
Netflix originals. They own them.
They have that.
They also
Losing The
they,
Office, that was pretty bad.
yeah.
They
Pretty
do.
bad.
They do
Yes.
also own the documentaries.
They also lost Psych.
The documentaries when they blow
Yeah, I
up.
watched that on Amazon.
Not Netflix is the best in the documentary game.
Yeah.
So they have it. They have a bit of a niche, but I'm just saying, like,
But it's not really a niche. It's just right now
well,
they
nobody
have
else,
the market.
Nobody else really does the documentaries though as heavily. Like people produce documentaries to target Netflix right now. They're not trying to, like, I feel like because Prime is pushing you. Prime
lot of them
pushes
are
you hard to
pushing-
movies. The Prime original shows though are becoming more numerous. It takes a while though for a platform to gain notoriety as a production company.
They just need one big show.
Exactly, because Netflix, when it first came out, you saw Netflix originals.
The shows start out as being like more of those kind of indie, like edgy
Right.
shows. That
And the
you're like, I
movies. The
don't
Netflix
really-
original movies
Yeah.
used to be terrible.
And you're like, I don't really want to. Stranger Things was, I feel like, the first Netflix original that was good.
Well, here's the difference too
Maybe,
between
yeah.
like Netflix and like Apple TV, for example. Netflix, when they started, like even Stranger Things, you know, you've got a few names in there, Winona Ryder,
Yeah.
David Harbour, but like they weren't massive at the time. They
for
were
the
more
most
in the
part,
twilight
their
of their
time was
career.
kinda over.
Yeah, so like they had to start with lower budgets and lower list actors, whereas like Apple TV's first shows that were coming out, you're looking at just A-listers across the board, huge budgets. Like that's what like Amazon's coming out with movies like Chris Pratt, huge sci-fi budget. Like that's the kind of thing that they have to compete with, which is like it's just terrifying is what it is. Like if you were the streaming game is got to be the most cutthroat like industry in all of like media, I feel like.
Silas told me the other day that Twitch is dead. He said Twitch came out with like updated way they pay their creators and they like cut creator pay drastically.
Everybody left.
And like apparently people are just like fleeing it.
I'll go to YouTube probably.
Probably because YouTube pays creators pretty well.
I do think that YouTube will probably own the stream game eventually. Like they'll win out. Because like, but I will
for
say
gaming.
yes,
Yeah.
Twitch has a very like there are so many streamers on Twitch.
It's just gonna be tough when
but it's
you know you can make more money on YouTube.
Oh, everybody will leave.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, everybody will leave.
Once you know you can make more money, like you start seeing everyone do it. Because then, once you have a few of the big guys leave, then a big part of the audience that might stumble on your stream leaves and goes to YouTube.
Exactly.
And then you have to be on YouTube.
Exactly. It'll probably be when YouTube commits more to a streaming, like right now if you go to the YouTube app,
Yeah.
it's not a huge, like you go to the Twitch app, you're there just to browse live streams, whereas YouTube, that's not where its focus
They're
is.
focused on their back end right now. They're doing a lot for like gaming creators. YouTube's restructured a lot of the live streaming stuff, like adding different tiers, adding different
Live
chats,
streaming is
stuff
cool.
like that.
I you know what's funny is like I see all these TikToks of like people that are like kind of do streaming as more of a hobby. And if I had like the time, like it was probably something if I would do if I were single and just had like I was just bored out of my mind, because I always said like I would be bored out of my mind if I didn't have a family. But if that were the case, like that's probably something I would get into to like pass the time and like build a community, is like stream gaming. I think it'd be very fun.
Yeah, it would be.
I think it'd be fun to like get into it, you know, build out a set.
Just like stream every night.
Yeah, and just like stream for a few hours every night and like feel like I'm accomplishing something while playing video games. Like that would be very fun.
It'd be demoralizing when you don't have any viewers.
But I don't. It'd be the type of thing where it's like if I'm gonna play anyways, and I think Twitch is the type of thing where like if you persevere enough and make a good product, it's kind of how YouTube used to be. Like back in the day, and you know this from you know if you follow enough YouTubers for long enough, like the ones that we followed back in the day, like you eventually, if you keep making consistent content and you make a good product, you just get bigger. Like
Yeah.
it just happens, because that's just how YouTube works. There's enough people out there, and Twitch is kind of the same way. Like I think it's harder, don't get me wrong, because like on Twitch, if you're getting 50 consistent viewers, like you've got a pretty decent stream. Whereas the top end guys are getting tens of thousands. But yeah, I think if you just like push at it enough and are consistent and have a really good setup, like people will stick around.
Did Twitch lose Nick Merckx?
I don't know. That's what I was about to ask.
I think they did. Because I think he announced. Let me search Nick. Because he's huge on YouTube in general.
Yeah,
But
well, I remember,
I don't know if he,
because like when Ninja was big, I think didn't YouTube buy him for like, I think Ninja went to YouTube
he's still
for
on Twitch. He's still on Twitch.
Nick Merckx is. I think
He's
Ninja went to
sponsored by
YouTube for
Under
a
Armour.
tiny little bit and then went back to Twitch because
And
YouTube
then
sucked.
Ninja went to somewhere else.
Then he went to
too.
another platform and got like 30 guaranteed, 30 M's that is. But I think at this point, Ninja, I'm pretty sure the dude made like $100 million in his heyday. Now he's just he's still very popular, but I think he's just kind of sitting on it now.
You know, Nick Merckx really doesn't get as many views as I thought he did. I wonder if it's because like Warzone's kind of dead.
Well, I mean, his streams are, the thing is his streams,
His streams
are
are
like
huge.
40,000
His
deep.
streams are huge.
Him and like
But
Dr. Disrespect, those are like,
when I was watching him before, yeah, like he was pulling in like 4 or 5 million.
Warzone's in a valley though, but the thing is the new one's coming out, so it's
Yeah.
gonna bump up again. But the
'Cause,
thing
like-
about Nick Merckx is too, he'll switch games when he
Yes,
feels the need.
he will.
So that's the key to his content, is like he will
Because
jump
his
ship.
YouTube, I mean, this is a pretty crazy jump. 2 years ago, when I was watching him, he was getting like
Mil.
2 to 4 mil.
Now he's getting like.
And if you go
100K.
recently uploaded, he doesn't even get 1 million. He gets like 80,000, 80 to 100,000, 200,000, 200,000.
Gaming is volatile.
100,000,
if
60,000.
if YouTube gaming was a stock, like it is the most volatile stock of all.
Like Phase Gaming, you can buy them.
You can
They're
go,
public, right?
yeah, forget about that. You can go up and down so crazy. Like I will say there are some channels I've seen that are able to stay really consistent because they just kind of find a niche and stick in it. That's kind of how YouTube is in general. But there are some people that just choose really volatile topics to go with or games to go with, and like, man,
It's brutal.
it's brutal. Yeah, I just like watch them and I get sad. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's just so, it's one of those things where like those people were making like, like for a fact that they were making like maybe millions of dollars even, and then you go to like just falling off the earth and you're like, man, I hope you were investing.
Yeah.
That's kind of like social media in general though. Like it can just fall off. Like people, your generation ages out, and then like what happens? Because I think that's our big thing is some people have such a tight demographic that as soon as your main audience gets out of it, if you don't catch the next wave coming in, like you're done.
Well, it's like if you are like, let's say you're in Warzone.
Yeah.
Warzone has a lifespan, just like Fortnite had a lifespan.
Right.
They can do stuff to bring it back, but like more than likely 15 years from now, people aren't playing Fortnite. More than likely.
Yeah. Well,
unless Fortnite just keeps changing. Because, like, a game that stagnates, like Warzone or Fortnite, that has, like, one thing they're known as, will get old.
Well, Warzone has the Call of Duty name, but the Call of Duty game has gotten weaker.
Yeah. Because, like,
significantly.
It's like movies. After, like, the second or third movie, sometimes even before that, you just get tired. Like, I don't have any interest in watching any of the new Star Wars stuff. But the first Star Wars, like 1 through 6, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, I was a diehard Star Wars
you
fan.
can definitely wear it out for sure.
And then, like, the more stuff that came out, like, I watched the first time the new Star Wars came out, of course you got me back in. Then the next one came out, I think I watched it like a month after it came out. Then after that, I didn't watch it. Then The Mandalorian came out, and I was like,
it would be interesting to see if,
I don't care.
If a company like Activision, Treyarch, or Epic Games would be brave enough to be like, we're losing traction, let's just completely switch the franchise. It would be like unimaginable almost to see like.
Hopefully Treyarch did it so Activision could keep making them.
Like if
Frick Treyarch.
Anyways, like it would be unthinkable to be like, yeah, Call of Duty's just done.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that because like that was like.
But I think that's kind of what happens is like because like Dude Perfect, for instance, they have a ton of longevity because like of course young teenagers are gonna be interested in trick shots.
And now we want to show our kids.
Yeah,
Dude Perfect.
like young, like that's something where like of course people are gonna be excited about trick shots, right?
Yeah.
But when you're tied to a thing like Warzone or something, it's like sure this generation, like if like Modern Warfare 2, optic gaming, I'm sure is slowed down a lot. Versus ratio they've slowed down because gaming's grown, so they've probably grown some, but they were huge Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Optic Hex, like if you watched any gaming YouTube, you watched optic gaming back in Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, it was optic or phase.
Yeah. And then now I'm sure that their channel has grown, but with how much the gaming community's grown, they own a much smaller portion of it now.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happens in gaming is like you're tied to one thing. And so like that next generation, they come in and they're more interested in Fortnite and not as interested in Call of Duty. And if you don't make the pivot at the right time, if you make the pivot too soon, you'll lose your whole audience because like our generation might not have cared. But then if you don't pick up this audience, then you're screwed.
Game making in general is brutal. It's like it's the same with like you notice a lot with apps. Apps is even worse where like you have some apps that do have really good longevity like Candy Crush, but like
even Candy Crush.
Like
very few people still play Candy Crush.
That's what I'm saying. Like games they
compared
do have
to
I think they have a pretty good audience with like the older folks, but still like compared to what it was.
When it was first came out, everyone played
games
Candy
like
Crush.
Angry Birds and all those like it's so crazy how you could be the company making Angry Birds and you could hit it right on the nose and have that crazy run of success where you've got movies. Yeah. Angry Birds had freaking movies, and then like you may never make an app that good again, or like that has that success.
Did y'all ever when Flappy Bird disappeared? Did y'all ever see like the iPhones being sold on eBay?
With Flappy Bird?
Flappy Bird for crazy amounts.
I wish, dude. I had Flappy Bird.
I have an iPod Touch that has it somewhere.
What are you doing, man? Sell that thing.
I have to find it and charge it.
Probably the old charger.
Yeah.
Those chargers were crazy.
What
a crazy charging cable.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Crazy, man. Last night, I went up to my parents for a fire, and my niece was there. And I hadn't seen her in a while. So we were, like, talking and playing games and stuff. And my dad was like, oh, Hunter, like, Mom said you hit your head? And I was like, yeah. And so he's like, how'd you hit your head? Well, I guess I got to tell this story first, how I hit my head. So we decided, yesterday, we were like, I jumped up on, I forget what y'all were doing. They were like acting like they were fighting. So I was acting like I was going to break it up. And so I jumped up on my desk and I was like, stop it. And I like walked over. And then someone said something about the floor is lava. And I was like, oh, that'd be a funny TikTok. Like, and then I was like, I bet I could go from I don't know who said it, but the bathroom to our front store without touching the floor. And so Trevor's like, oh, let's just do a TikTok out of it. I'm like, all right. So I walk into the bathroom, open the door. Trevor's filming me. I jump on the couch, run across the couch, jump onto my rolly chair, roll it to my desk, jump on my desk, walk across my desk, walk across Silas's desk. Then I pull Trevor's chair over, jump onto Trevor's chair, surf it to the door, pull myself from the door to like jump through the door frame. And I go to jump through the door frame, and I just jump straight into the door frame and just hit the top of my head. They apparently didn't even notice it. So I hit, and then I land in the retail store, and I'm in pain, laying on the ground. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so stupid. I can't believe I just did that. And I'm like laying there, and I have this moment. I'm like, where are they? Like, I'm laying here in pain. What are they doing? And so then Trevor finally was like, what are you doing? I was like, I hit my head. He's like, when? So we went back and looked at the footage. Yeah, you can tell when I hit my head, but it's
just
not
a lot more
as obvious.
subtle than like it ended up being pain-wise.
And so it was funny. You know, it hurt, but I wasn't thinking anything serious.
His head was bleeding.
But then they walk out to go shoot something, and I'm like, man, that really hurt. Oh, I'm bleeding. And so then I walk outside. I'm like, guys, my head's literally bleeding. And then Connor's like, yeah, you can see your goose egg. And I was like, what? And then my wife pulls up. So I walk over to my wife. And I'm like, hey, do I actually have a bump on my head or Connor's messing with me? She's like, yeah, you do. I'm like, crap. I was like, okay, well, what do I do? Like, do I have to go to the doctor? I don't want to go to the doctor. So I called my sister, who is a doctor, and I explained it to her because I was like, I've had a lot of concussions. I've never had a goose egg pop up. So I don't know if that's one of the symptoms of like, you need to go to the doctor or not. Because I know like nausea, double vision, migraines, all of that. But I don't know, like, I never had a goose egg. So I called her and she's like, oh no, like if you get sick or headaches or anything like that, then go. And I was like, okay, fine. So I didn't have to go. Only thing that ever happened, I didn't wear a hat today because it's still very tender.
I have a permanent goose egg on my forehead.
That's the only thing that ever happened is like I had this goose egg and it hurts to touch. That's it. I never got a headache or anything. But anyway, so I'm telling that story. And then like Lila's like, haha. She calls me haha. She's like, haha, can we please go color? I'm like, yeah, fine. So I walk away. And so we walk to go color. And she's like, tell me how you hit your head again. And so I'm explaining to her and she goes, I play the floor is lava all the time. I've never hit my head. And I was like, I know. I can't believe I messed up. She goes, so you were on a chair and you jumped through a door frame? And I said, yeah. She goes, did you use 2 feet or 1? I was like, I jumped off 2 feet. She goes, you got to go 1 foot and then put your other foot on top of that foot. She's like, that's how you need to do it. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. If you would have stepped off the chair and then put your other foot on top of that foot, you wouldn't have hit your head. That's how I do it. And I never hit my head. I was like,
She was giving you. I
was like, man, Lila. I was like, if only you would have told me that yesterday.
Funny.
I was like, I would
You
have
put
saved
one
me.
foot on top of the other foot and then jump?
No, like you're on the chair. You step off with 1 foot and then put your other foot on top of that foot, so that you're like making yourself small, standing on something small.
I understand.
She's like, yeah, that's your problem. You jump with 2 feet. You shouldn't do that. And I was like, you're so right, Lila. Man, if only I would have known.
That is so
that
funny.
age is so funny where like they learn how to speak so well and they can just say things in such an informed voice.
Yeah.
I love
She
that.
also she has a test today. I'm actually picking her up from school today, but she has a test today, and one of the questions on her test is for her to write her name. That's like one of the things. Like she's
big
learning how to
time.
write her name. And so Heather last night, her mom, I was sitting there with Lila and we were coloring, and Heather was like, Lila, why don't you write your name? Like you're gonna have to do that tomorrow. And she's like, no. And so Lila's very much like everyone in my family. Like if you tell her she can't do something, she's gonna prove it. So whenever she doesn't want to do something, I'm like, yeah, Lila's too small to do that. She can't do it. And so
yeah.
and she like turned and looked at me. She's like, yes, I can. I was like, prove it. You can't do it. And so then she like goes to write her name and she writes the L and then stop. Her name's Lyla. She writes the L and then stopped. And she goes, haha, I don't need to prove myself to you. I can do it. I said,
That is
I
so
was like,
funny.
Lila, you clearly can't do it. You only wrote the L. You don't know how to write the rest. And she goes, and then drew an H. And I was like, Lila, do you actually not know how to do it? She's like, yeah, I know how to do it. And I was like, well, what's that letter? She goes, H. And I said, is that in your name? She goes, yeah. I was like, spell your name. She goes, Lyla. I was like, Lila, there's no H. And she's like, okay. And she's like, let me just go back to doing my math. She wasn't doing math. And I was like, all right, you can do your math. And then like later, like Heather walks away and I was like, well, Lila, you have a test tomorrow. Like, do you want me to teach you how to do it? And she's like, you can try. And so like I explained it to her and like taught her, like, I was like, well, you know the L, so you put 2 L's, and you need the Y's this. And I was like, the A is just an H, but the top's touch. And so she like did it and she got down. The Y was the only thing that she was really struggling with, learn how to draw a Y. And so then I was like, Lila, you know, are you nervous about the test? She's like, a little bit. I was like, you want to replicate your like test pressure? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, here's this marker. I was like, do not tell mommy. She goes, okay. I was like, you can write your name on my arm. She's like, no, I'm not allowed to write on arms. Like, no, I'm telling you, you're allowed to. My arm right now. You can write Lila. I was like, but if you mess up, everyone's going to be able to see that you messed up. Probably awful to tell a 4-year-old.
No, I love it.
But I was like,
This is going to be her childhood wound when she grows up.
but I was like, but if you write it right, I was like, then it's just like your test tomorrow. If you can do it on my arm, you can do it on your test. And she's like, okay. And so she did it and wrote Lila perfect on my arm.
Wow.
And it was
Clutch.
washable
She got
marker.
the
So
clutch
like,
gene.
I knew it was going to be fine.
She got the clutch
And then
gene.
she's like, put your sleeve down. Put your sleeve down. I was like, okay. She's like, do not tell mommy I did that. I was like, don't worry. I was
That's
like, Lila,
so
I was like, if anyone sees it, I'll say that I wrote it.
Conspiring.
She's like, okay. And then like later, my sister walked in and I was like, Lila, She's like, well, I was like, when I started moving, she goes, stop it. She's like, don't show mommy. I'm going to get in so much trouble.
That is so funny. Oh.
And then in like 18 years, she's gonna be like, yeah. And for some reason, I just feel like I have to do everything perfectly, or everybody's gonna know that I'm bad.
It was very funny. I also said something about. She asked me if I liked. She's like, do you like math? I was like, yeah. She's like, you didn't like math when you were a kid, though, did you? I was like, yeah. Math was like the only subject I liked when I was a kid. She's like, math sucks. I was like, well, let me show you how. And I was like teaching her how to do like math and stuff. And then and she said something about a different subject. And I said, oh, she said something about like Thanksgiving. I was like, oh, do y'all have like a Thanksgiving party at school? She's like, no. I was like, oh, like when I was a kid, like we had Thanksgiving parties and like, you know, everyone was like pilgrims and stuff. And like, that was your Thanksgiving party and stuff. She's like, no. I was like, oh, okay. And then Heather was like saying, I think Heather, they do still have those parties. But anyways, then I said something about, I was like, well, have you learned about Christopher Columbus yet? And she's like, no. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to tell you a phrase.
He was a bad guy.
I was like, I'm going to tell you a phrase. And when you hear this phrase again, years from now, because you won't learn it until like first grade, I want you to just remember that Uncle Hunter told you this when you were young. She's like, okay. And I said, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I said, they will teach you that. And then you'll be like, my Uncle Hunter taught me that. She's not going to remember. Not a chance.
Well, it was like,
That's so funny.
we used to have like holiday themed parties like in elementary school were pretty legit, but like the best was
The Polar Express party.
What?
we did not have
You guys
a Polar
didn't have
Express
that?
party.
No.
Where you have like hot chocolate.
Yeah, like we would.
I've heard of such
you went to
things.
school in your pajamas, and
Maybe
you got
I
like
did.
you
You know
got
what?
like a
No, I
ticket,
think I did
and you
have
get hot
something like
chocolate,
that.
And then you would walk down the hall.
Trevor's thinking of when they just watched Polar Express in his living room.
I was not homeschooled until I was out of elementary. Thank you very much. The best party we had, for whatever reason, in third grade, my teacher, Mrs. Barnes, goat, had
was
this
Mrs. Staub.
inflatable, like this giant inflatable orb that like covered the whole classroom almost, and like everybody could sit in it, and like we all thought it was
What?
so fascinating. It was this big clear like bubble that you could like crawl in, like you kept like air going in it, like an inflatable, and you could all crawl in and sit in it. Like what a
That's
fascinating
awesome.
thing! To
That's
a
so
third
much
grader.
fun.
And like the best party all year was like there was some way you could earn it. I forget how, but we had a pizza party inside of this giant bubble.
Wow.
And like you tell that to a third grader, and like we were like, we might as well be going to the Taj
Disney
Mahal.
World.
Yeah, it was insane. That was like we also did. At least one year they did like the St. Patrick's thing where they act like leprechauns came to your classroom.
Yeah.
And like we would like there was literally rocks that were spray painted gold in our desks. Elementary parties hit different though.
The Christmas parties was always fun.
Oh yeah.
And then we would have like battle of the classes kind of. I think we had field day. And
Yeah,
field
we had a
day,
field day.
you went out and you just did a bunch of different games, and you got points based on how you did
Field
in
day
every
was
game.
a great day.
Field days.
We had it
There was always the
elementary-
one where like you had to fill the sponge with water and
Yeah.
then go put it in the bucket.
So elementary was
man.
very like kiddie games. It was the same reward for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It was you got to wear jeans. Well, elementary you could wear jeans. High school I couldn't wear jeans at the time. You got to wear jeans, and then you got a pizza party. That was the same reward across elementary, middle school, high school. But everyone had field days, and basically the games just got more intense as you got older. So when you're like in high school, now they call it battle of the classes. Back then, they still called it field day. But you would have like they would turn the whole front hill into like a slip and slide, and you'd have to like do an obstacle course up and slide down. It was like
That's
a time trial.
electric.
You had to like elect different people in your class to do different things. So like every class was like really strategic about it.
Dude, Hunter, you've got this.
We cared.
Bro.
No, I did. I would do. They had like the layup, free throw, 3-point half
Oh,
court.
dude, Hunter, you're like the best basketball player.
I wasn't,
Gotta do
but
that, man.
the guy who was the best was more athletic, so he did something else where he was faster. And then we had like relay races, all kinds of stuff.
That's the best.
But it was a blast. But the pizza party, no one cared about the pizza party. We just cared that you weren't going to be able to show up because like the sophomore class beat us my junior year, and they were going to beat us again my senior year, and that's all you cared about.
So when you're a kid, you know how like there are like days in your childhood, like typically Christmas is the number one where like they're just like it's like incomprehensible joy on those days. Like you get so hyped up for them.
Yeah.
And so when I was in elementary school, like early on, the field day that we had. This is basically how it worked. It was one of the last days of school, maybe even like the second to last. It was the last week of school, so you're already on that high. And then basically you had class for maybe an hour, 2 hours, and then the rest of the day you all go outside.
Yeah, why did you have class on that day?
I don't know. You would all go outside, and maybe it was like because you would get to lunch first. You would all go outside, and they would give you a wristband you'd have like different things you could check off that were like all like snack items. Like they would give you you get like a snow cone, a pretzel. So you get that. There was games to play for prizes. And then like you could it was the whole like recess area, the blacktop playground. And you could just roam around like it was social hour. And you do that for the rest of the day. And you knew school was ending like the next day. It was like that day as an elementary student, like was one of the best days of your life. Like you were like, this is everything you've ever wanted.
It
was so great.
Our field day was always that, like towards the end.
It feels like the best thing ever.
And you just played games all day.
Yeah, it's
the
best.
They kept the like bouncy house and the slip and slide and stuff open till like 5. So like my mom and dad would show up and stuff, and like they'd just let us hang out. And
It's the
play.
best. It's the best.
That was a great day. But one of the days, because our school, we didn't have a football team. We were a small school, and so our homecoming was basketball. And so what they did is homecoming was always on Friday. And so the whole week leading up to it was a different dress down day every day. And it was always themed. And then each class, you would nominate the best one in your class to go up. And then the panel of judges would vote on the best high school, middle school, elementary school. They'd vote on whoever dressed the best that day. And that class got points. Then those points rolled over. And for elementary on Friday, you just had like a competition. Middle school, you decorated the middle school hallway. And then high school, you decorated the gym. And so in high school, each class got a different wall. And then the final thing was like, basically you showed up. We had a challenge for like you didn't do any school Friday on homecoming. You showed up, you had like 2 or 3 hours of like class games, similar to the field day, 2 or 3 hours of class games. Then it was like, 11 o'clock. Then you'd have to come up. We had a pep rally at the end of the day. So then the rest of the day, you had to decide in your class, you had like a cheer committee, if you will. Then you had like the decorations, and like that was it. So the cheer committee was always like 3 of the girls that did theater. They would come up with what our class cheer was going to be. And the rest of us just worked our tails off on, like they let you drive to go get whatever you needed. You worked your tail off getting your wall perfect. So you got your wall as good as you could get. And then you had the whole class had to learn and participate in this cheer for the pep rally. And so then the pep rally would happen, and it was always very cringy, but very fun. And so you come out, and they would have alumni come back, and alumni would vote. They wouldn't know which wall was which because it rotated who got what walls. So they'd vote on the wall, and then every class would do the cheer. They'd vote on the cheer, and then the winner of the class, whatever class won, got the spirit stick. It was like this long, and it was blue and gold and taped. It was literally just a wooden rod, but you got it for the next year. So until the next Spirit Day, it was yours.
Dude,
you had the Spirit stick.
I'm such a big fan of like inanimate trophies.
Yeah,
that are, like,
and so
stupid looking.
It was
I love
in
that
your
stuff.
homeroom. You had it.
Yeah.
Well, my senior year, we were a pretty dominant class. My senior year, we lost to the juniors.
Gosh dang it!
Brutal, absolutely brutal.
Tough
we
goal.
lose to the juniors. So my favorite teacher, Miss Doherty, she was the junior class homeroom teacher, and I had 3 periods with her. I had yearbook, Spanish, and a study hall that I did yearbook during. So I was in her class like 3 hours a day. So she always like rubbed it in my face and stuff. Well, one day I walk in, I'm like, Miss D, the spirit stick's gone. She's like, what? I'm like, the spirit stick is not up there. What'd you do with it? She's like, you took it. I was like, no, I didn't. I was like, I promise you I did not touch the spirit stick. Because like it was like, you did not mess with that thing. Because it had been the same spirit stick since like the 90s or 80s. I don't know. They'd done this for 30 years at this point. And so I was like, I did not touch that spirit stick. So then the junior class gets wind of it. And everyone in the school is convinced I stole the spirit stick. Because I'm the one that walked in and was like,
you smelled it, you dealt it, bro.
And so I'm telling Miss D, and like I had to go meet with the principal. Like the principal was like, Hunter, like, look, I get like it was a funny prank and stuff, but like you have to give the spirit stick back. I'm like, Mr. Abbott, I didn't take the spirit stick. I was like, look, I'm a senior. It sucks that we lost. I was like, I'm out of here in like 3 weeks. If I had the spirit stick, I'm giving it back to you. I don't care that much. Like this has gone on months at this point. Like literally,
gosh,
like the January is Blue Gold Day, right? The spirit stick did not show back up. So the final day of school happens. We graduate. You know, it was the yearbook signing day. Graduation was that night. But like we're officially done. with school. So then, final day, like I hadn't heard about the spirit stick for like a few weeks, month now at this point, because I had convinced everyone it wasn't me, because it wasn't me. And so then we're like doing yearbook signings and stuff, and Miss D comes up to me again. She goes, "All right, Hunter, now you're like not a student of the school anymore. Finally, tell me where the spirit stick is." I was like, "Miss D, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't steal it." Mr. Abbott, same thing. He walks up to me, or my principal, Hunter, look, man, like, you know, you're out of here. Can you please tell us where the spirit stick is? I'm like, what do you guys not understand about I didn't steal the spirit stick? And so then this guy, Dalton, walks up, signs my book, writes in my book, "I threw the spirit stick on the roof. You're welcome." Signed, Dalton. And so I'm like, what? And so then I show that to Miss D the next, like I saw her at graduation that night because I didn't even pay attention to it. He just walked up. He's like, "Oh, let me sign your book." I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like talking to someone. He signs it, hands it back. I didn't read it. Check it that night. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I tell Miss D. And so they made him climb on the roof. And sure enough, he had just chucked it up there in like January.
That
He
is
just like
so
he
funny.
said he was just walking down the hallway. She wasn't in her room, so he just walked in there, grabbed the spirit stick, walked out the back door, chucked it on the roof, walked back into class.
Legendary.
That is so funny.
And then just let the school for months erupt and come after me.
Legendary. That
He
is
was
so
a like
funny.
at that time he was like a sophomore freshman.
Oh,
and he just
man.
like walked in, grabbed that thing, chucked it, literally just chucked it on the roof,
Dude was just looking for trouble.
and then just came back into class and just
That's
left it up
awesome.
there.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
man, if he really wanted to go further, he could have just planted it on you.
Yeah,
Well,
just
but at that
stick
point it was on the roof.
Yeah, at that point it was on the roof. You would have.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
That is so funny.
I mean, for a solid like 2 to 3 months, I was the villain of the
That's
school.
the worst.
Everyone just was like
Awesome.
convinced. And my class was like, "Dude, Hunter, like that's so funny. Good job." I'm like, "Guys, I didn't steal it. It wasn't me." They're like, "Oh, that's so great. Like the juniors, screw them, man." I'm like, "I didn't steal the stupid stick." It was very
That's
funny.
really funny.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Well, it wasn't funny during the time because like I was scared I was gonna get suspended. It was that serious.
No proof.
Yeah, but they didn't have proof.
No proof.
Yeah, that was the other thing is they had security cameras, and so like they reviewed the footage of security cameras, but like you never saw like people went in and out of the classroom all the time. You just never saw it because he just put it in his hoodie and walked out. Mm-hmm. And I was the person that was most frequent in that classroom because I was in there 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
and so everyone just knew I stole it.
Hunter, whenever I hear stories about your childhood, it always just makes so much sense. Like
What
you
does
just
that
like every story that I hear about your childhood is always like ultra competitive.
Oh yeah,
And so whenever I think about who you are, it just makes so much sense to me.
nah, we didn't mess around, man. We were competitive, competitive as frick.
Spirit stick. Yeah, when I was in
Spirit stick.
college,
Well, that was the other thing. Is
Can we
like,
have a spirit stick in the office?
when I was in college,
Absolutely.
when I was
Let's
in college,
play Brody
we had,
again. Let's play Brody again, but instead of stealing the cube, we make a spirit stick.
No,
have to
what we
steal
should
the
have is we can implement this now, but really next year, the monthly match. If you win the monthly match, you
spirit
get the
stick.
spirit stick for the month.
we
So you can like rub it in people's
in
faces.
college, one of my
funny.
halls had it was called the stud stick, and it was a wooden baseball bat, and you got to sign it and you got it. The RAs gave it out, I think, like at every like hall meeting, like based on just like a guy that like done something good on the hall, or like helped somebody out or something, and you get the stud stick.
Dude, what we could
I
also
got
do it for a
stud stick
monthly
once.
meeting. Every monthly meeting,
Give that, yeah, that's how we should do it.
we
Have a
pick
ceremony.
basically an employee of the month,
That's
but
funny.
we make it less.
Oh, I don't know. Having an employee of the month like frames would be very funny,
That would be very
but it would
funny.
also be more expensive than having just a stick.
It'd be more fun just to have something you give to someone, and like it's theirs for the month. They have to bring it back the
It'd
next
be
month.
even funnier if we just gave it to
We just give it to Nolan every month.
like Nolan every month and just make him like targeted. Like people are like, "Are you serious? How did no one keep getting it?" Or we give it to ourselves.
the classic Jim.
Yeah.
We like set up this whole program, run the script, run the algorithm. Like, oh, I'm the employee of the month, and you walk in with a cake.
Yeah, that is one thing we're missing to become a legitimate business, I think, is we don't have an employee of the month.
Yeah, that is pretty embarrassing.
That is pretty
All right,
embarrassing.
well, I have
We have a wall of shame. What does that say about us that we have a wall of shame but not an employee of the month?
we have October next Monday's our next monthly meeting.
Employee
So
of the month.
I'll nominate an employee of the month.
Nice.
I'll form a committee.
Nice.
I'm the only person on the employee of the month committee.
It's gonna be Trevor.
I'm not. No, I don't ever want to be an employee.
It's
of the
gonna
month.
be you.
Stop.
Now that you just said that.
No,
definitely
it's
you.
no. I think we should pick. I think we should only pick warehouse workers.
You're not on the committee.
Dang, man.
Okay.
I am the sole member of the committee, and as a sole member of the employee of the month committee, I decide.
I'm perfectly okay if you just give it to yourself every single.
Yeah, that is
Undecided.
pretty funny.
Undecided.
That is
and
pretty
you make
funny.
a plaque, like that would be very funny.
That would be fun.
I think it'd be honestly,
like-
Hunter.
just
Maybe what I'll get
imagine-
you for Christmas is like I'll get you like 10 identical employee of the month like placards with like your picture frame, so you can hang all 10 of them up. Like,
Yes.
that would be very.
Just
funny
imagine
to
if in
have.
the warehouse
It's
we had
all
like
your smiling
it
faces,
was just like
same exact
20
picture.
like employee of the month pictures.
That would be
You just
really
Photoshop.
funny.
You just Photoshop the shirt a different color in each one.
That's funny. The other thing that we did in high school, I just remembered. This was my freshman year. I was on the varsity team I was like 12th man, but they were going to states, and our school was trying to figure out, like, they had a fan bus that they were taking to states, but it was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
They were trying to get the student body really excited to come to the state championships. And so they were like, let's do a pep rally Friday at the end of school. Everyone, will miss their last 2 classes to come for this basketball pep rally, blah, blah, blah. And the idea they came up with was they had the starting 5 show up, and they just they had all of us like wear our jerseys. We came out, we did your layup, warm up, whatever, your typical like pep rally run out thing.
So cringe, bro.
That wasn't that cringe. That was fine because it was high
cringe.
school.
That's so
But
cringe.
then this is actually kind of funny. They didn't say anything to us as the team. We didn't know what was going on. So at us as the team, we just like came out. We did our layup thing. They had the one guy that could. The one guy was like the dunker, Matt. They had him like
designated dunker.
yeah. Well, he was. Everyone else was like rim grazers. He was the guy that could dunk. So they had him. I forget what they somehow in the layup line told him to dunk a few times. So like the crowd would go crazy because there was like the elementary school were there too and stuff. So
Everybody from the town.
no, like the elementary kids. It was just our school. But then they told us to like stand in the line. And so like our principal came out and talked a little bit. He goes, now, next thing we're going to do. No, we didn't talk. They had the principal talk. And he was like telling everyone about like state championship, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but I know you're wondering, like it's 2:40 right now. What was this over? What are we doing the next 20 minutes? He's like, I'm glad you asked. And we're all just like, what the frick's he talking about? He's like, all right, starting 5, y'all get on the court. Rest of the team go sit on the bench. So we did. And then he goes, all right, bring them out. And then they like started playing music, and the starting 5's dads came running out.
That's so funny.
And then they made them play horse against their dads.
That's very funny.
That's
And
funny.
so Matt, the guy that could dunk, went up and dunked for like the first shot against his dad because he knew his dad couldn't dunk. So his dad had one of the other dads get on his hands and knees, jumped off his back and dunked.
That's
And like, I mean, I have not heard that gym be louder than that.
That is
so
so
funny.
And it
funny.
worked. We packed the gym
We had a
That's
basketball
for the
game.
state championship.
That is awesome.
When I was we had in my school district, we had K through 4, and then we had a school that was 5th, 6th before you went to a school that was 7th, 8th. They've since changed it, but in the 5th, 6th school, it was called North Salem. It was called the Dave Unger game because it was a fundraiser for this guy, Dave Unger.
The Hunger Games?
No, Dave Unger game, because Dave Unger, I think he passed away from maybe cancer or something like that. Yeah, nice one.
Sorry.
But it was like a long time ago, but there was a fundraiser basketball game, and what would happen was you would end school early and everybody would go to the gym, and whoever the 5th and 6th grade team was at that time, the basketball team would play against the teachers. And that was like a very big deal at our school. But then 1 year, after 5th grade, I was homeschooled, so I only went to it for 1 year, and I was only on the 5th and 6th grade like team my 6th grade year, so I wasn't playing in the game. But one of our computer lab teacher, what was his name? I don't even remember. He was like a bigger guy, but like probably had a little bit of an athletic background. But he ran to go save a ball like on the baseline from going out of bounds and like hit it behind him. And there was not a lot of space at that gym, at least at that end. It was like notorious. Like there's the padded wall, but it gets on you quick. And arms out, and he broke at least one, if not both, of his wrists, and which is just so like he's just laying there, and we're all in the crowd is like, oh, and like he comes in. This man teaches computer, so like type can't do that. He's got like full hard casts on, and like so the next day we go into computer lab and he's got these freaking casts on, bro. But he's just laying there like a dead,
That's
like he's
so
like he
funny.
just died. Oh my gosh.
We had an alumni game that I never got to participate in the true alumni game because the school decided it was kind of dumb. Because what it used to be was Friday night was homecoming. You'd play, against our rivals. It was always a brutal game. Then Saturday morning was the alumni game. So they had the alumni team, and then the current varsity team played the alumni. And it was like all the alumni would form their team and have like the best 12 guys show. And it just bullied the varsity team every year because it's basically you took the best players over the last like 7 years, gave them a few years to age into college and passed, and most of them stayed athletic.
got a grown man
and then they
strength
just
now.
came back and just bullied the current
Yeah.
varsity team. So they decided to wipe it away. But then,
Why? That sounds electric.
well, they kept the alumni game, and they said the varsity guys could come play. But basically, what it turned into was like once you graduated, you just showed up. Like everyone came back in town for homecoming. I didn't go this last year. It's like my first year not going. And
you
then
go, man?
We're going this year.
I did go to the alumni game.
I'm going this
I will not
year.
miss the alumni game because the alumni game's a ton of fun.
No, we're going to homecoming this year.
That's fine.
I'm going with
Do you
you.
play in
it's
the
probably,
alumni game?
Yes, the alumni game, the alumni
We got to
play.
keep
That's
track of that.
awesome.
You
When
just
is
show
it?
up.
When's homecoming? January?
It's one of the first weeks of January, yeah.
All right, I'm out on my calendar.
The alumni game,
You can't go, Trevor.
Yeah,
yes,
you
I
can.
can.
Yeah,
it's a high school game. I'm excited to go.
I'm going too then.
Go NATOs. Come on.
What did you just say?
Go NATOs. Tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
Oh,
Come on.
okay. I was very confused.
But then the alumni game was always fun because like then at that point like everyone brought their wives and kids and stuff, and so like the stands are full. There's like 20
Yeah,
people
yeah.
of like wives and kids. It's very fun.
Our baseball team used to do an alumni wiffle ball game where we'd come back and play the current team of wiffle ball and beat the snot out of them. I mean, Hunter, I assume he'll take me to the homecoming game, but he said he's going to take us to the tractor pool too, and that
The
didn't work
tractor
out.
pool didn't
True.
freaking happen, and then when it did happen, it was like 2 days after
So-
Luca was born. So I was going
Sounds
to
like
take
It did
y'all.
sounds
happen?
like excuses.
I sent y'all the picture when it happened.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it happened like a few days after Luca
Well,
was born.
homecoming. I'm going to homecoming. I'm going to
That's
paint.
fine.
I will literally paint my entire
Oh,
chest.
you would stick out.
That I plan on it.
Okay,
I'm going to learn the rosters too. I'm going to chirp.
you can chirp. We've had quite a few parents like.
I want to sit with your dad
Rejected.
because I know he'll chirp. Well,
My
maybe
dad
not
won't- no.
not because you're not
My dad
there
doesn't
anymore.
really go anymore.
He's going.
He's painting his chest.
We're all
too.
going.
We're all painting our
It's
chest.
going to get loud too.
My dad got into like a little bit of a
Let's-
tizzy last time he was there.
Oh shoot! Let's get as many people, like as many just rowdy people there
Let's
as
make it a
possible.
foundation
I don't know how
event.
big.
That's what.
homecoming
But no,
is
we're gonna
anymore.
make
What if
it
we
big
invited all
regardless.
foundation fans?
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna get that gym crazy loud.
We could just pick a random game to do it.
We're just gonna
I don't even
hand
know
out
the coach
moonshine at the
That's
door.
the
coach.
People are gonna be just loaded in there.
The coach that coached for when I was there is
Everyone's gonna
gone.
be drunk.
The coach that coached when I was there is gone. So I don't know the coach anymore.
Oh, that's
Well, we gotta figure it out.
This is his first year not coaching.
I think it'd be very funny to like influence like imagine like you're the kids and like you know it's homecoming, like it'll be kind of big and you show up and like it's just the most rambunctious crowd you've ever seen in your life.
Well, that's what would happen.
I bleed golden blue,
what,
baby.
What they ruined homecoming my junior or senior year because we used to always play Westover, and everyone in my school hates Westover.
Yeah.
I hate Westover.
Stupid
Let's get him back
Westover.
on the schedule.
But
then.
what they wanted was like, and this is
I'm
a
bringing
typical
them.
thing for homecoming, is they wanted it to be a guaranteed win.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Westover wasn't a guaranteed win. They were our toughest
So now they
rivals.
play a crappy team.
So then they started playing a crappy team. And so like my senior year we played
Stupid.
New Covenant, which now New Covenant's
Dude, New
allegedly
Covenant,
better.
Well, they got the better of us.
Yes,
If you
they
remember
did do that.
correctly,
They did do that.
If they're anything like that big guy they had, man, he
But
bodied us.
Back then, I mean, you'd beat New Covenant by like 40 every time without
the
fail.
Griff-
They were a soccer team.
Dude, the Griffins, bro.
They were filthy in soccer, but now they're apparently good at
The
basketball.
freaking Griffins.
So they
bro.
switched it to where you played New Covenant, and then
New
the game
Cov.
was like boring because before it was always like came down to the wire, like a 3-point game. There's a chance for a game winner. The crowd was chanting. Westover would bring a bus, so like the Westover parents were rowdy.
Yeah.
and so like people were like chanting scoreboard back and
You
forth
know,
at each other. Like it got crazy in there.
we have a-
then like my senior year, it was still like a lot of people were there, but like you'd be up by like 25 and the subs are
People are
in,
leaving.
and it's like boring.
Here's the thing: we have a really great sports community because we have a Division I high level university right next door. So like we can, if you want to go to a very high level football, baseball, basketball game with a great environment, or hockey even, it's right there next to us. But you kind of miss something about that gritty, dirty feel of high school sports. Like I want to get
I want to go to a Texas football game. That's what I want to go to.
that you basically a college game. So
High school football, but like
that
seems, I know, but like that seems electric.
But maybe it will be a little dirtier.
I think so.
Maybe we need to.
You know what? Let's go to
we
a
need to-
Brookville football game this year.
Yeah, I
Brookville versus
agree.
JF. Let's find the time.
Yeah.
We'll go.
I would totally.
Sounds good.
I would be so down for that.
There's a lot of fights that break out of those things. I
yeah,
love it.
heck
I would be
yeah.
so down. We're getting darn close. Find
Yeah,
their schedule.
They're got to be playing.
go to
already.
JF. They
We're
probably
at the
have
end of September.
They probably have a nicer website. Go
They
Cavaliers.
probably do versus Brookville.
I'm definitely gonna cheer for Brookville though,
Yeah, I think you have. That's the dirtier team.
because it's the dirtier, grittier team.
We
And
could
I bought
also-
that Brookville shirt once.
We could also now this would be a dirty game. Heritage versus Glass.
Ooh.
Heritage versus
Ooh,
EC Glass.
I don't even know if I want to get that.
That
I'm
would
rooting for
be.
Glass. Somebody's getting shivved.
Let's see. JF football
Dang,
this
dude,
year.
yeah.
JF's 2-2.
Do not want to go near
they're not
UC
even-
Glass.
They play
it is
Brookville at
sketchy over
home.
there.
Oh, they already played them.
joke
They
is I
lost.
live
They got,
over there.
they got their cheeks clapped.
Brookville's dirty. Do they play him again, or was that it?
That might have been it. We might have missed it.
No.
Okay.
When do they play another like team?
gone.
Do they play any more teams from around here?
It's gone. Yeah, well, they play LCA on October 7th.
Well, that's not. That's literally in the Liberty Stadium.
No, yeah. EC Glass, Heritage.
Do they play
Rustburg.
LCA at LCA or at?
It's away, so at LCA, so
Okay.
at Liberty Stadium.
It'd still be kind of fun. Where do they play? They play Glass at Glass or home?
At Glass.
Who,
They play Heritage at home.
maybe we'll go to that one.
But
When
the
is that?
JF versus Heritage, that's not a big rivalry. Like, JF Brookville's the game.
It's high school football though.
We missed it. Well, Brookville won 49-27, so we didn't really miss
I
that
drove
one.
Yeah,
by,
Brookville's. Well,
I drove by
probably would've
JF's.
been a show.
Do we want to look at Brookville's schedule?
Yeah,
I drove by JF's football stadium the other day. It's pretty nice.
JF's a nice school.
It's a pretty nice stadium.
JF's really they're the nicest school around here as far as public schools. Certainly, they're very nice.
Yeah,
and they have a very
so-
good sports program too. Like I looked
EC
into their
Glass
baseball
is
team
a big
once.
school. That's a big building, EC Glass.
Yeah, well, that's big city school. I was scouting out all the high schools at one point for my son. I was like, JF, like, what's their baseball program like? And they've like won state
Dude,
titles.
Brookville's 4-1
They're
right
good. Dude, Brookville's dirty. We got to go see the bees.
now.
The
They
bees above
play.
it, buzzing in the hive.
They play at Heritage.
Do they play
October
LCA?
7th. They play LCA.
When
Oh, they just played them. They
got
got murdered by LCA.
LCA is so good, dude.
They got a lot
Dude.
of. They got a lot of money.
That's their only
LCA
loss.
is disgusting,
LCA's got a lot
bro.
of money.
That's
to
their only
pour into
loss.
everything.
So they went. They played.
So it sounds like we got to watch LCA because they're a show.
yeah, LCA beat them 47-7.
LCA is undefeated.
Yeah, 5-0.
All right, click on them. Where?
But like then we're gonna have to go to Liberty Stadium.
You're right. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
All right. So who's Brookville play then?
Silas, who's LCA's like big game?
They don't have rivalries.
Like, does LCA not have a
probably
rivalry?
IMG Academy?
I mean, they play JF, but they're gonna bully JF.
No, dude, we got to go see the upset.
Well, they
When
beat
is-
them 47-7.
When is the JF game?
This is LCA's score so far. Well, they didn't because Brookville beat JF. They play.
I hate
They
to break
play
this to you, Silas, but
JF
they're
October 7th.
trash.
This is LCA's score so far. They beat Magna Vista 40-0. Bassett, don't even know who that is, 35-14. FCHS 34-14. Rustburg 56-6.
Dude, they're,
Brookville 47-7.
they're dirty.
So they're pretty.
They're not
goated.
losing.
They're
dirty.
pretty good.
When is the JF game?
They play
October
JF,
7th?
Heritage, Liberty, Amherst, Glass. Appomattox is typically good.
Who? Well, where's
Let's preview. Do they have like spreads here? Scoring averages. So
When's
Heritage.
Brookville's next home game then?
Brookville.
Yeah, what's their home schedule look
Let's go
like?
back to Brookville.
Because like I think going to their home game would be like a good high school feel.
Brookville's next home game is against Liberty High School Friday, October 14th.
There it is. We're going Friday night.
But Liberty
October 14th.
is Liberty any good? Ever Liberty High School? No, they're trash. Yeah, Minutemen.
Beat down. I love it.
They play EC Glass October 28th. Oh, you'll be in
I'll be
Vegas.
gone.
That's it. Those are the only two home games
We're
left.
going to the 14th.
Oh, that's not gonna be fun. They're gonna bully them.
What if they don't?
We could go watch them play Heritage. I bet the
When's
Heritage
that?
game
Yeah,
would be good.
wait, when's that?
So the Heritage Finals predicted to be 37-27.
When's that?
October 7th at Heritage.
We might not be in town.
Ah, dang it, dude.
No, we will. We'll be in town on Friday.
Yeah,
for
it's Friday,
sure.
October 7th.
Okay, let's go to that one.
Let's see who's leading the Seminole division. LCA. Amherst County is dirty this year. That's what we need. The Amherst LCA game, Silas.
When is that?
They're 4-0 this year.
I love
They're
it.
second in the
The
Seminole.
battle of the undefeated.
They play LCA 10-28. You're gone.
Dang it.
They play at LCA.
It's the best game of ever. All the good games are that same
All right, well,
time.
let's see who's third in the Seminole, huh? Anyone else undefeated in the Seminole?
No.
Heritage is undefeated.
Heritage is gross.
No, they're 4-1, but they're 2-0 in the Seminole. So Heritage versus Amherst County, that's the game we want to go to. That'd be a dirty game, huh?
No, it was Heritage Brookville.
No, we want to go to Heritage Amherst County.
When's
if it
that?
hasn't happened. Friday, November 4th
There it is.
at Amherst County.
There it is.
That's the game we go to.
There it is.
November 4th at Amherst County.
Put it on
Amherst
your
is a little bit away.
calendars.
It's on my calendar.
Now, at that point, their seasons could both be garbage.
If they're not, though,
No, they're not.
But if they're not, we're going to the
they're gonna be
Heritage.
fire.
we're gonna watch some dirty, gritty high
And we're
school
wearing-
football.
we're
Do
wearing
they have
orange and navy.
concessions at high school games?
Heck yeah, they do.
Yeah, but do we have to rep Heritage.
I think we wear orange and navy.
Yeah, we got to rep
Orange
Heritage.
and navy.
Rep Heritage.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'll just wear navy because then my hair
fine.
my hair will do the rest.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. We're going to the Amherst, the Lancers, I believe. Is that what Amherst is?
Lancers?
Is that what
The
Amherst
Lance
is?
Browners?
Amherst County Lancers? Doesn't matter. What's Heritage? Pioneers. Pioneers, baby. Till I die.
Pioneers.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Pioneers in and out.